Think we're ready now. Hi, everyone. I'm Christy. It's good to see you this Sunday. Just kind of made it a lazy day for the most part, but want everybody to say hello. Whoever gets in, I'll probably remind you as you come in. But today's a pretty interesting question, right? Because the book of Revelation is filled with prophecies that just blow your mind just looking right at them. And they said that as the generation came into view, that we would begin to really understand these prophecies and some things that no one else had ever really been able to wrap their minds around. And I think that caused a lot of, theories along the way that at times got taught as fact. But again, that's then, and then we're here now, and so we start to see some things, right? And when it comes to a pole shift that is coming, there's a what you call a magnetic pole reversal issue first. And it's not like it just happens for a few months and the poles flip. There's this process that the earth goes through, that humanity goes through, right? As things get tougher and tougher, as we get closer. And believe it or not, we've been seeing all of those signs for a few years now. And when you start putting it all together, it's like, okay, wait a minute, right? We all been taught, okay, there's going to be droughts and famines, right? And floods in other places and earthquakes. We knew that, but we didn't know why. And the closest and really the only logical reason is because we're getting ready to have a pole crest. Now, the magnetic pole shift happens before the actual pole shift. So it's really important to know what those signs are, right? Which include extreme lightning, extreme wind, sinkholes, animal die-offs, crop die-offs, an increase in viruses, the droughts, the flooding, the earth busting open, the trumpet sounds that you're hearing because the pressure that's on the mantle is letting out these tones. And it's a really good thing that, y'all come in during these live streams, because YouTube, they cut things out. And sometimes this is the kind of stuff that they cut out before they really let everybody see that. Okay. And this is why I wanted to go ahead and get this going. I'm glad for the thumbs up. Hello, Christy, and hello, Jeff. It's good to see you both. So where we are is we're going to go to Revelation 6, right? And it talks about the four horsemen. And those things that are happening are exactly what would be happening if we were going through a magnetic pole shift, like the first one. Okay, going forth, conquering, and to conquer. That's a little bit vague because we don't know what he's conquering. Conquering the world, but it's conquering. Okay, but we've got a conqueror here. He has a bow. It's kind of a weapon. But then you go to the second seal, and the horse is red, and these people start killing one another. Okay, so there's a lot of aggravation in the earth. Well, believe it or not, magnetic pole shifts will cause anger issues. It's going to cause you to be more irritable. And you see that around. Everybody's just mad about everything. They're trigger happy with their anger. And you see that division, and it's worldwide. It's not just here in America. It's everywhere. Okay. Then you go to the third one, and it says he had a pair of balances in his hands, and there's balance to the earth, right? That's kind of neat, huh? So something is out of balance. And now they're talking about a measure of wheat for a penny, basically that we're having famine. But we've always known this to not just be about famine, but about pestilences, illnesses and plagues of locusts. Now, I think it's kind of interesting. We've had a lot of birds dropping dead recently because they eat those bugs. So, everywhere should start having a problem with major infestations. In fact, I think I saw an article today that was talking about the bubonic plague coming back in China. And usually that's from fleas on rats, But still plagues, famines, pestilence, right? And then the fourth one is death and hell follows around. Okay. But then you go to the sixth seal, and it talks about how the clouds roll up like a scroll. And that is just so obvious to me that the earth is spinning, because that would cause a g-force to make those clouds roll like that. Like, if you've ever been underwater, like in the Gulf of Mexico, or just underwater, and you can see those waves just rolling. Yeah, well, that's how it goes. But I wanted to point out what we've been seeing. The sinkholes. We're going to go there. It will cause these sinkholes, because we've got this destabilization under our feet. It would even cause the like all the bleaching of the corals, and how the fish have been coming up and everything, because they're suffocated. The heating up of the water, it's literally taking out all this oxygen, right? But sinkholes in America, they're starting to pop up. And I just went ahead and, yeah, I'm on page like 4. I just did like a Google search, and it was amazing how many sinkholes. 3 days ago, they were talking about the world's largest sinkholes, but there's more. September 13th, 2020, series of sinkholes open in Jefferson City. 3 days ago, okay, sinkholes open on street in Ephrata. September 27th. Some dog was trapped in a 30-foot hole on the 22nd of September. Sinkhole forces road closures in Gwinnett County, September 16th. That's in Georgia. Giant sinkholes appearing all over the world 3 days ago. Sinkhole phenomena. And, that really kind of reminds me of Revelation 12, where it says, the earth opens up and swallows up the flood. I'm thinking, I'm thinking there must be a pretty large flood coming, and some pretty unstable geology that it's about to hit, And that's why I always think of Houston. I know it's, not so great, but that's how Houston kind of is. If a tsunami were to hit Houston, I bet that's exactly what would happen. It would be swallowed up. As cavernous and risky as I think things have been getting under Houston. Okay, the sinkholes from 5 days ago in residential area in Black Hawk. The list goes on and on and on and on. Sinkholes in Sumter after storm. Massive sinkhole continues to grow in NS Town. I don't know what that means. Appeared in Oxford a week ago. Okay, so you can just talk about that. And then you talk about the bird deaths. It wasn't just in New Mexico. It looks like it's happening everywhere. There's a report that was coming out about some dead birds around New York. But birds falling out of the sky. Yeah, something about New York and New Mexico, but there's more than that. So what I did is I went ahead and pulled up. It's an end times prophecy page, and it's endtimesprophecy.org is what it is. Animal death kind of list, right? And it tries to keep up. It doesn't always get them all, but it tries to keep up with it. October 8th, 48 tons of fish die in Vietnam. October 7th, thousands of dead octopuses and dead fish. Thousands of dead fish appear in a dam in Mexico. 330,000 birds killed due to avian flu in Kazakhstan. 10 dead turtles in Sri Lanka. Thousands of fish in Lebanon. Hundreds of dead cattle due to drought and fires in Argentina. Die-off of birds, a mystery along the coast of Rome, Italy, September 27th. And the list just keeps going. Hundreds of dead fish found floating in lake, a mystery in California. That's I don't think it's such a mystery. Okay, these things happen in a magnetic pole and reversal. I'm gonna see. Okay, knife collector, good to see you here. Yeah, they should be looking for answers. They should be, and really the answer, really, if you look. And it's kind of hard to find it on the internet, but I know that with some persistence, you can find exactly what those pole reversal symptoms are. And, lakes draining or water receding and coming back, because water is magnetic. Do you remember when the water kind of receded from the shorelines and everybody thought that, maybe we were going to get a tsunami? But, there's like this bulge around the earth where a lot of the water kind of gathers, and there isn't a magnetic effect there. And it's also kind of a perpetual motion. But, water is a conductor of electricity. So, magnetic pole issues kind of involve electricity too, so you just start seeing those strange things, and you'll notice that our growing zones have changed, and that in some places we'll have droughts, in other places floods. And so, and the tectonics, of course, would be just going absolutely nuts because of that squeeze that's going on, right? So then all the volcanoes that are around these tectonics and these fault lines, they would begin to become active. Okay. So when I see, especially the third horse and the fourth horse and the second one, even taking peace from the earth, those three horses right there just scream it. And then you see that aggravation has reached a pinnacle, because we've got Christian martyrs going in seal 5, right? So seal 6, right? The clouds roll back. And I can imagine the dust that must be in the air, just the things that are going to open up. Africa is showing signs of splitting too. Things aren't so great. What we started off with the Australian wildfires, and we had the California wildfires, and then we find out that Israel's on fire. So you kind of have to ask yourself, why are we going through this issue? Okay. Well, space itself is going through these same issues. They were saying that, like I said, we were doing Mike from Around the World Cliff Notes a couple of days ago, and he was talking about how Mars was going through similar issues. So this isn't just an Earth thing. It's a solar system wide issue. All right. So whatever is going on around us, it would have to be something pretty big, or even a multitude of some things that would cause such stress on our entire solar system that it would start affecting our moods, our weather patterns, the firmness, and the trust that we have in the ground underneath us, something that is so bad that it's turning our water blood red. Okay. It would have to be pretty big. But see, like in the days of Moses, if we have more bugs and less birds, guess what else we're going to get? Frogs. Lots and lots of frogs. Think about that. There's this movie called Prince of Egypt, and it shows a really good illustration of what happens when these plagues start happening. And it even ends with a time of darkness, where even the darkness can be felt. Can you imagine that? So we're going to look at the comments super fast. These things aren't happening directly in front of, they don't pay attention. That is so true, Christy. And I call them ostriches because they keep their head in the sand so that they don't have to see anything bad happening. But, they're not watching their butt if their head's in the sand. You know what I mean? And that's just the kind of people that are in this world. They just really want to keep a positive attitude. There's already a lot of stress going on. So, and then there's the, well, if it happens, it happens. What can I do? But I remember in church when, as long as I could remember, people would be like, well, that the earth would be groaning under the sin of man, that even the sin will have reached the heavens. The stench of it will have reached the heavens. And it's like, and if you think about how they've always said, like, everybody and everything is all connected, kind of makes you wonder what exactly, how are we affecting it? It's got to be something about our energy and our choices. And so I guess I could see that. Oh my. Oh, Christy. Thousands of songbirds died in Philadelphia. And birds, did you know they make their first migratory flight back usually, and a lot of them they've never made it before because there's some kind of instinct, right? Something is confusing the birds, their internal compass. And I was even seeing how like these whales, orca whales or something, was like getting fishermen's boats, their behavior is becoming erratic. You'll know something because I mean they'll say like, earthquake signs that animals, bugs will, birds will start, they'll start acting really weird. Well, and I'm seeing even in the water, they're acting weird. And then you see all these fish deaths, and there was like a massive whale death recently. Was it 250 whales just popped up on this? Oh my gosh, could you imagine the stench and the horror and the cleanup process for something like that? Yeah, and 3 days of darkness coming, stay inside during that time. Yes, I've been hearing a lot about that, and I even had one person ask me, I was like, I know that I had read about this 3 days darkness. I don't know if it was a Mandela thing changed it or what, but I know I used to read about it, and I thought, anyway, who cares what I thought on that exactly, but I've been hearing, yeah, that it will be supernatural. I mean, again, going back to Moses, they were told to go inside their houses, shut the doors, shut the windows, and don't come out. And there was a Bible prophecy verse. I remember saying something, just until, for us, until the indignation had passed, like for 3 days, something like that. There is something still residue there coming. Yeah, they track magnetically. And when we've got birds slamming into buildings or they're just flying for so long that they're completely exhausted. Yeah, yep. A guy acted like he was going to run me down in front of Walmart today. His face was just evil. All I was doing was crossing the street. Yes, Christy, that's exactly it. And they're so. I had someone that I know recently just started yelling about everything and nothing. Like, just, why is this parquet butter? And, oh, this, just dust in the sky, just anything he could see. And I'm like looking at him, I'm like, do you even know what you're mad about? They're just irritated. They can't even explain it, but that's why it's really important to have those eyes open and to not just go with I feel upset, but to really think, whoa, and sometimes I've noticed actually that when people are getting most irritable, that we're getting hit by some kind of CME or solar winds coming in. Has anybody else noticed that? And I have this one breaker that trips every single time when the solar winds start coming in. I'm like, here they are again. Sure enough, there'll be reports that the solar winds has come in. We have a great live chat today. This is so much better than last time because one of my friends, he couldn't even access the page, and somebody else couldn't access the comments. And you know, I also I can just kind of see where certain video platform is messing with my channel all the time. That's okay. How can you be mad when you have a face like this? Look at her. Look at her. Mwah. She's so sweet. Oops. And did you know, by the way, that when you're feeling irritable, did you know that, or even bad, that kitties, kittens, cats, they have, they purr. When they purr, it's like this healing, natural healing frequency. Don't forget chamomile. But the best thing, is just always to remember, when you're feeling aggravated and you're feeling that road rage, just take a breath. Don't let your emotions get the best of you, because remember, we're also in a time of testing right now. Okay. So what's really inside of you, you're not going to really be able to hide. And so, yeah, that man trying to act like that, we're all, that's where that rise in it's rise in persecution, rise in Christian persecution, but in just evil, period, because it was easy for people to keep that mask on. That's kind of a narcissistic thing. People don't really feel comfortable letting you see, but they aren't going to be able to hide it. They just won't. So we're going to see more and more problems like this, just random shootings, road rage, but it's almost going to be a distraction because suddenly the earth is going to do something really big. And There's no way that this can't get worse. And as far as the third horseman too, that is about economic collapse. Okay. And what are we seeing, and due to what? The same things that a magnetic pole reversal does. The influx in viruses and plagues, the rise, certain things come back there. I even saw a report today saying that scarlet fever is making a comeback. And the woman who was talking about it was saying how arrogant man was to think that they had eradicated anything. Okay. But when it comes back to this economic decline, it's the viruses, the crop losses, the animal die-offs. Okay. But now, okay, you start talking about this second stimulus package that they've been just, throwing around, the news. And then you hear that unemployment checks have been bouncing. Because I was wondering, where's all this money coming from if nobody's working? I mean, seriously. Well, even the government's having trouble paying its bills. So what does that say? Okay, that they're horsemen, all that's happening, and it's all happening for a reason. Let's check the live chat. All the kids. Yes. I just got one of the kittens adopted out yesterday, and they were like, "Well, how much for the cat?" And I was like, "Nothing. Just take him." Because they've been a pretty, you can tell they're stressed, but they're sweet kids and sweet mom. She's a nurse. She's working tons of hours. They needed some love, and they're just their faces. Yeah. So I'm really happy about that. 27 trillion in debt. No, but it's like, I thought that number had gone up. No, I think you're right. Might have been the number I saw, 27 trillion in debt. I mean, how do you keep up with that? Right. The business is closing out. And then what was it? The World Health Organization came out today or yesterday saying that lockdowns are unacceptable, basically, and that isn't the way that we need to treat this virus. That it's unacceptable now, that we need to open the country back up. And I'm like, I do. I agree. I really do. And I try not to really talk about politics at all. I really do. I'm trying to stay as far as I can, but what doesn't that almost, are we even going to have a country left for a president to run in the next couple of months? I mean, if the economic collapse of the world is prophesied in the third horseman of the apocalypse, then what does that say? Does it say, oh, things are going to get better? No, the whole world's going to be going through famine. It's going to get worse. Forget the farmlands. They'll be abandoned. Nobody will be able to work them. We're going to be dependent on the government in a way that we hoped would never, ever happen. They're hoarding food is what I heard. Cities too. Can you imagine the prophecies come true about the military handing out food? Because that's exactly what's going to end up happening. Oh yeah, we got inflation bad right now as it is. And I mean, buying silver and buying gold, the only thing I haven't really heard the gold and silver people getting clear to me yet is how do we weigh and measure this stuff? How do we put a cost to an item and say, okay, I need this much gold? How do you make that a thing? That's one thing that worries me. Oh, the value of gold. Well, how would we even know? And what would we do with that? What would we do with gold? I don't know. I'm just wondering, I don't know. But that's always been one thing. It's like, okay, if I had a bag of rice here, how much gold would I charge for that? And how would I know, unless I've got a pair of balances in my hands? Maybe we need to be getting some scales as a general population. Yeah, we do need to hug each other. It's weird because I was also watching this other video about how a lot of babies in an orphanage back in some year way back had been dying, and they didn't know why, and they figured out that it was because the babies weren't being held or touched or anything, and so that these people started coming in and picking the babies up and hugging them and holding them. these babies sort of started surviving. It's not good for us to be apart from each other this much. I mean, vitamin D deficiency, I mean, that really just depends on if you can go outside or not. And a lot of us can. We're usually pretty pale by the end of winter, but going outside may not be the problem if it's like on your porch or out in the yard or whatever. But not being able to relate to another human being, not being able to hug and hold your parents, especially when somebody's sick or dying or hurting, that's not good for our bodies. Our stress can kill you, and love is a very healing thing. And that's not just some nice saying. Okay. Jesus will return, and we will hold our post until he gets here. I try to live every day like it's my last, but I always prepare for tomorrow. There's always tomorrow. That's what I always heard. Yep. Yep. To go cashless, and that's where they will use the collapse as a reason to go cashless after they allow it to come back up. Yeah. Well, see, that's where the system's going to come into play, and we're going to have to, you know, go underground, kind of, sort of. We're going to be bartering and helping each other because, we may not have, like, say, a certain item, but we might have people with certain skill sets, that can make certain things, or teach certain things. I think that there will be ways that we can still help each other because, like I said, I live in a poor neighborhood and we do that all the time. Like, once I cut this woman's hair and she gave me a couple of pair of earrings, because I couldn't afford to go out and buy earrings like that, but she could make them really, really pretty. So, it's a lame example that but it was skill set for skill set, right? There was no money involved whatsoever. Thank you for stopping by, John. It was really good to see you. Those metals are time tested. Use it as a hedge. Use silver because it's affordable. Okay. God is in control. Yes. And there's a lot of good news in Revelation too, about how the Lord is there and the things that he does through his body as things are getting tough. I know that they call these days the last days. These are our last days. This is our legacy. This is who we are. Okay, this is what we're going to go through. When you figure out that the earth is under such strain, that's why all these trumpet sounds started going off that nobody could figure out what at least 10 years ago. We didn't know how bad of a sign that was. And with every fish death and the coral deaths, and they blamed it on us. They blamed all of it. Even when the fish died, they'll say, oh, it's some kind of pollution, when actually the oxygen has just been sucked right out of the water. It had nothing to do with pollution whatsoever. And you see it's happening in 15 different spots. Okay. Let's see here. See, Christy, I was thinking about that it says silver and gold. Yeah, that they would curse their silver and gold, Yeah, that's kind of interesting, isn't it? Wonder where that is. I wonder if I can find that super fast. Let's go to Google. Okay, Bible verse. They will. I don't know if I can find it. I'm sorry, I'm just kind of. Oh yeah, so Ezekiel 7:19. They shall cast their silver in the streets, and their gold shall be removed. Their silver and their gold shall not be able to deliver them in the day of the wrath of the Lord. And that the day of the wrath of the Lord is also known as the day of the Lord. It's a really bad day, the judgment day. They shall not satisfy their souls, neither fill their bowels, because it is a stumbling block of their iniquity. Ezekiel 7:19. You know why it probably says it was a stumbling block? Because they worshipped money more than God. They would have had to have made money some kind of god to them. Yeah. Yeah, that's how I usually find it. The scripture is I'll at least try to remember part of the verse, and then I'll type it up in the Google, and it'll usually pull it up for me. Yeah, she's back. Look at that face. Just look at it. Okay, what else we got? It was the money of the land being thrown on the streets. Paper money was not created yet, so gold and silver was the only description he could give. Yeah, but it could still apply, as much as people are, you know. I mean, if we go through a pole shift, if you've ever seen that movie, oh gosh, was it 2000 or something? Where the ground is falling in and cars on highways, everything. I mean, it just makes you wonder where, if anywhere, in the world is safe. And the way I think is, if you're in God, He's led you where it's safe. But a lot of us, I don't know. Is it really guaranteed that what we have planned is, I don't know. But I mean, I know God told me to prepare, and if He moves me, He moves me. But maybe there'll be even less, is what I'm saying, after a pole shift. What you think you have, you might not. Anything could happen to the stockpile. These cats got to go. I know this is so wrong. I'm supposed to be doing a live stream, right? So what happens after the 7 seals of the apocalypse is what looks like the tribulation starting. So when people talk about war coming, in Matthew 24, it said there will be wars and rumors of war. So we'll have both. And right now, that's exactly what we have. We have wars, and then we also have people always saying, well, this war could start, or this war could start, or I had a vision of the Russian invasion, which I did too, so I'm not making fun of anybody. I'm just saying there's going to be talk about wars, not just wars happening. Okay, well, we got that. And she said, but the end's not yet. But he was talking about famines, plagues, and all that. Yeah, that's all happening. Well, what happens after that? The end. That's pretty much what happens. And if we've just had a pole shift, I think that would be a grand time for a leader to step in when the whole world needs answers and leadership that bad. I think that would actually be a perfect time. Tammy, you made it in. I'm so glad to see you. I was worried about you during that storm, during Hurricane Delta. I believe you're right. It is practical. It is practical. I'm just, but when you got to say that Bible verse in Ezekiel, it does look like that was for the day of the Lord. And that sounds like it's talking about us. So it had to be brought up. I'm not trying to bag on anybody. I just want you to know that. And yeah, what I mean, but money wasn't the only stumbling block we had. I mean, we've made ourselves our own God, right? We don't really care about humanity. I knew a woman, she and I saw a homeless person, the same person, and the first thing she wanted to do was leave, and I was telling her to turn back. The types of people that we've become, and then we worship idols like, celebrities or whatever. We don't really worship God. And I think that that's one of the things that God is doing right now, is He's taking away everything that we cared more about than Him, including our money, including our food. Gluttony is a sin. I mean, I'm not talking about gluttons. I'm just saying, Tammy, you're awesome. Okay. Yeah, the 2 Ezras, I did start looking into that. And that prophecy about the eagle, I had to look it up online though. That was kind of hard for me to understand. I really have to get back into that. He has time divided into 12 parts. I didn't know if that was 12 leaders or what. Yeah, I'll definitely try to look into that, Tammy. All right, Tammy. You got it. I'll pray for you. Okay. I think that this will be enough pretty much for now. Okay. But again, we do have a solar system wide issue going on, and there's been a lot of talk about asteroids and meteors coming in, and that some of these wildfires may not be just accidental in the sense that, okay, somebody dropped a cigarette. Some of this may be magma issues from underneath and other things coming in from space. You need to, when you hear a fire, this it's probably from one of those two things, not just, oh, somebody didn't put out a campfire, right? Especially when you're seeing them in multiple places. That's kind of suspicious suspect. All right. And then, movies like Greenland. And yeah, I did check out what that Utopia film was. That was creepy. Y'all should check out the Utopia trailer if you haven't seen that. Okay. We talked about a lot today, and YouTube has given me a lot of censorship, and so it's really nice to have the thumbs up, the shares, and everybody here in the comments. It's really good to see y'all just really helping me support this channel and getting the information out that needs to be there. But definitely keep watching for those signs, because they shouldn't be getting better. They should be getting worse. We will have an economic collapse. We will have a hard time finding and even growing food. I want you to know that the earth underneath your feet is not stable, that the waters are coming in out of their beds, okay? They are coming out at some point. There's a race that's going to happen across the land. These animals, we're not just the ones killing them because of H1N1. They're dropping dead on their own. Sheep are running off of cliffs. We don't even have regular lightning anymore. It's plasma lightning. Okay, we're having winds that are strong enough for hurricane when there's not even a hurricane lately. And tornadoes are showing up in spots they shouldn't be. Hail is showing up in spots they shouldn't be. That's all magnetic. All right. So don't expect it to get better. It will lead to a pole flip, a pole shift. It will. All right. But don't be blindsided by it. Be ready for it, because you ever hear those country songs? If you knew that you only had so much time left, what would you do? Some people say that they'd rob a bank. Well, guess what? There ain't no money there anyway. So you ain't gonna, but other people, they hug their loved ones closer. They tell them things that they should have said a long, long time ago. You let go of those petty things that just seem so big. They don't mean anything anymore. They just don't. So all this fighting that we're doing, it's crazy, because it's blinding us to what's real, that the real dangers that we're in. I think that when it comes to leaving, it's best to ask God, because you can't run away from. You'll never really know. I don't really think that any place is safe lest God has his hand over it. And so therefore he has to have it over you. And if you think about Revelation 12, even though there's a lot of mystery about it, it did say that the devil sent out a flood for this woman of God, but the earth opened its mouth and swallowed that flood. So you know what? It's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. It does hint protection from God there, no matter what's coming at you, even if it's a tsunami out of the Gulf of Mexico, which I believe is going to happen. Yep. All right, y'all. This was a great live stream. Thank you for all the thumbs up, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.